Hi, Akshay.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, hi. We'll start.
Yeah, ma'am, just 2 minutes.
Okay.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Um,
Can you hear me?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Yeah. So today we will go through the digestion part.
Huh.
Okay. Digestion at various elementary canal. Now that you have learnt about all the different parts and glands, and you know what all they secrete, but
Yeah.
I don't think we studied the composition of the various juices, no, like bile juice or
Bile juice, yeah.
pancreatic juice and all. So that and digestion part we'll see today. That itself you'll have a lot of what to say enzyme names to remember. So I don't want to start the. I'm pretty sure I will still have little more time left, but I don't want to start the next part, which will be the last. So one more class we'll complete with this particular chapter.
Digestion, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't send the third session. I'll send it mostly by today. I got held up.
Huh.
So yeah, today I'll send the fourth session. Third session it will take me a little time. By tonight or tomorrow I'll send. Yeah.
Huh.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So let me just share the screen. Any doubts still like we discussed whatever we discussed?
I haven't written notes for last class also.
You didn't write notes, huh?
No, I have written some. I have to write some, and then I write the third, and then I write the fourth.
Okay, okay, cool. No
So it'll be
problem.
like
Anyway, we will
continuous,
be
like a chapter.
repeating the intestinal glands and all again, once again. So not in detail,
Yeah.
but yeah, somehow. Okay. So first, I'll share
Like
my.
once I finish like writing the notes in the end, we'll just revise from the beginning to the end, like half an hour. Like once we finish the chapter, so that time I, if I have doubts, I'll
In
just
the end, as in the end of the class.
like after we finish the chapter.
After I finish the class,
Yeah, like after
you.
we finish the chapter itself.
Okay. After we finish the chapter, I have a plan of discussing the questions.
Yeah, that time if I
Before
have
that, you
any
can
doubts,
ask
we
your
can just
doubts.
later. Yeah, okay.
You want half an hour for writing notes, sir?
No, 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 no. Like once we finish the entire chapter, like when we solve the questions, if I have doubts, I'll just tell you.
Huh. Okay. Cool. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Because this entire thing itself should be a revision for you, not like you're hearing it for the first time.
But 11th, I didn't
Yeah. Yeah. I
really
understand.
pay
Not
any
a problem.
attention.
Yeah. So what we will do now, like see, after this chapter, uh, we will anyway we are going to enter into breathing and exchange of gases and all. So here and there, the concept of respiration will come in.
Hmm.
So what we will do is there's a chapter called respiration in plants. You remember?
Yeah, in 11th.
Yes, yeah, in 11th, yes, of course. But even though the term is respiration in plants, it's common for aerobic in humans as well as in plants. The steps are the same. There's
Yeah.
no difference. So what we will do is that after this chapter, and circulation.
Oh yeah, I wasn't able to hear you.
You weren't able to hear me from where?
From respiration. 1 second. I think it's my internet. Just 1 second.
I think my internet is unstable. That's what
Yeah,
it
this is mine
says.
also. I'll just change 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, ma'am, now can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you?
Ma'am, I can't hear you. Yeah, ma'am, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, ma'am, I can hear you.
Huh, okay, cool. Yeah, so what I was saying is that there is a chapter called respiration in plants. The concept of respiration in plants and in human, the aerobic respiration part is the same. Okay, so what we will do after this chapter, we will go to respiration in plants chapter. We will learn that and then come back to body fluids and breathing and exchange.
Breathing. Okay.
Yeah, so that way what happens is wherever we hear the term respiration, we are clear about what it is. Okay, okay. So first we will just, what we'll do is like, since there are going to be many subdivisions in today's class, we'll quickly see where all digestion will happen. Okay, so let's start from the first place, which is nothing but the stomach.
Stomach.
Mouth.
Mouth.
Yeah,
But
mouth.
mouth digestion doesn't happen, right?
Yes, digestion will happen, but of what? Of starch.
Starch, salivary amylase.
Yes. So we will just, what we'll do is we will note down all the different molecules. What are the different molecules we are talking about here?
Proteins,
Proteins.
carbohydrates,
Okay, let me note it out. C, yes.
lipids,
Lipids, then
vitamins, minerals, all that.
nucleic acids.
Nucleic acid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so these are the this one molecules that we are talking about. Okay, and the different parts. Let me just write it again. So that first is the mouth. Then we have the stomach. Then we have the small intestine and large intestine. Then it is excretion, right? So let us mark the esophagus here. Okay. So what happens is, in the mouth, is there digestion present?
Yeah, starch, conversion of starch
of
too.
starch, that is carbohydrate.
Yeah.
Yes. But
Yeah.
what about the other components? Proteins, lipids, and nucleic acid.
Stomach.
Yes. No, what you have to remember is carbohydrate starts from mouth. It will then continue to small intestine. But in stomach, there will be no carbohydrate
digestion. Only proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids.
In protein also not complete digestion. Only
yeah, it's small intestine, the remaining this thing.
Yes. In small intestine, all the components will get finally digested. Okay. So here also, I mean, in the carbohydrate case also, only 30% is getting digested. The remaining will get digested only in the small intestine. Okay. And in the stomach, proteins and little bit, very little of fats will get digested. Extremely little. Okay. So we won't generally consider this particular point. Okay. And who are the ones who are involved? What are those chemicals involved in this are called as, or proteins involved in this called as? The one who catalyzes a reaction.
Enzymes.
Enzymes. Now, the question here is that all the enzymes, if you see, other than your mouth, in stomach and intestine and everywhere else, it is released in its inactive form. Why is it so? Like pepsinogen we saw, right? Which are the cells which releases pepsinogen?
No, that's different. Peptic, no, some cells.
Correct.
Peptic cells. Yeah, peptic cells.
Or another name also is there. I told you why it is called so.
Oh, 1 second.
Oh, I don't think we discussed about the chief of police. What do they do?
They prevent. Oh yeah, like the barrier.
Yeah, no. The chief of police's function is like they are the ones who perform the major instructions and duties, right?
Yeah.
Same way, what is a major function of stomach? Protein digestion.
Protein digestion. Okay.
Yes. Apart from that, stomach does not have any major function. Okay. So, like how the chief of police does all the major things, same way the stomach's major function is what? Protein digestion. So the enzyme will also be released by cells called as
chief cells.
Chief cells. Okay. Understood. So chief cells is one name, another name is peptic cells.
Peptic cells.
Okay. Which are the cells that releases hydrochloric acid?
Hydrochloric acid.
It's called oxyntic cells.
Oh yeah, oxyntic cells.
Or parietal cells.
Parietal cells, yeah.
Yes. Now I'll tell you the reason why they're called as oxyntic cells. Because whenever you dye them, okay, there is a specific dye called eosin dye.
Eosin. Oh yeah, I learned it in chemistry.
Yeah, so that eosin dye, these cells will get dyed by that. That is the reason why they are called as auxentic cells.
Oxentic cell
And why they are called as parietal cells? Because they are on the basement membrane. That is,
membrane
if this is the epithelial cells, they are on the
below the.
basement membrane. That is on the outer side, like
Okay.
on the verge or on the periphery. That's why they're called parietal cells. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Till now? Yes. Now the next question I asked in the beginning. Why are they inactive in nature? Why are they not active in nature?
They get activated by certain in these things, but I
Sorry?
don't know. They get activated later by certain enzymes, but I don't know why they're inactive.
They all get activated, yes. But why are they released in an inactive form and not directly in an active form?
Because like we won't be needing them at the time when it's released.
Okay.
And
So basically this scenario is just like in your class and all, if your teacher is not there, how is the class going to be? Your guys going to be reckless in
very
the class
quiet,
and destroy the
very,
class,
very
right?
quiet.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
Same way, these
Like when food is
enzymes.
not there, it's we don't need it to be in active state. Only when we are eating some food or then it gets activated.
Yeah, it is activated. But why is it? Because if you leave them just in their active form, they will destroy our own cells. Because at the end of
Like
the day, our cells are also made up of proteins, carbohydrates, and lipids
proteins,
only, no?
carbohydrates.
So if these
Mm,
enzymes start, if there is no food means it will start digesting our own cells.
yeah. So only when we eat food, it gets activated by certain
Correct.
enzymes.
Only when we eat food, that too in the presence of something else, only they can get activated. They have their own conditions. That is what we will see today's class. Okay. So basically, if you see, the major digestion area is your small intestine. Okay. It will receive secretions from the liver, that is your gallbladder or your bile juice.
Mm.
Okay, then it will receive secretions from the pancreas, which is called as the pancreatic
Pancreatic
juice.
juice,
Then it will also receive secretions from its own cells, which we call it as intestinal juice.
intestinal juice.
Okay, so till
And
stomach.
bile and pancreatic juice have a common duct, right? Bile and
What is the
pancreatic juice.
duck's name?
Uh, that I forgot.
Very nice. That is a major thing. What is this name
Uh,
for root word for liver? I told you this.
uh, wait. For liver, it is
I dicted here.
for liver. I don't. Yeah, it's here. Root word for this is for break. Gastric is for stomach. For
I
liver,
even
it
told a
is
disease. You also told dash B.
liver.
Starts with H.
Oh, hepatitis.
So
Yes.
what is the root word for liver?
Hepatic.
Hepar.
Oh, hepatopancreatic duct it is.
Hepatopancreatic duct. Yes. What is a sphincter that controls the opening of hepatopancreatic duct to duodenum?
Uh, some uh, that I don't remember.
That's a very important question. Don't forget. Okay,
Yeah.
it's called as sphincter of Oddi.
Odai. Yeah, I've written that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and sometimes you will also see the hepatopancreatic duct in some books. They would have mentioned it as ampulla
Yeah.
of Vater. Same thing, both are same.
Mm.
Okay, so don't get confused. It's just a different name. What is the other name for esophagus?
Gastric. No.
Esophagus
Oh, other name for esophagus.
starts with G, ends with T.
Gas. No.
Leave gastric. It's not gastric.
Gut.
Huh?
Gut.
Okay, gut is one. Then
Oh, one more.
gut is actually the entire alimentary canal, not just the esophagus. You have to just add few more letters to this. You will get it.
Few more letters.
You're making me play hangman now.
U is there somewhere. T. Oh, gullet. Yeah.
Gullet. Yes. Okay. Esophagus is also known as gullet.
Gullet. Like I haven't written notes for all this, right? So I don't remember. When I write notes that time, I'll
Oh,
just read
cool.
all
I
the
hope
things.
this week anyway we don't have class. You have enough time.
Yeah, next week when you ask, I'll answer all questions.
Oh, I see. Okay. For today's class, you need to remember all the basics. Otherwise, how will you? Otherwise, it will be like overburdening. That's why. Okay.
Yeah. Like I
No
remember, I
problem.
just like can't recollect now.
Yeah, no issues. I'll ask next class anyway. Let me
Yeah.
see. If you don't answer, then you have to treat me. Okay. So this basic concept you understood, right?
Yeah.
So now with this knowledge, we will start with the different, like, the things involved, the enzymes involved. Okay. So I'll just share the PPT screen once again. Okay. We'll see what are the different composition of all these juices, and then we will move on to it. Okay. So there we go. Yeah. So as such, we already discussed this. What are the various sites for digestion? Your mouth.
Mouth,
That is, we
stomach,
can't
and
say
small
anymore
intestine.
mouth. We should say it as what?
Buccal cavity.
Buccal or oral cavity. And then we have
Oral
the
cavity.
stomach. And then we have the small
Small
intestine.
intestine.
Technically, in large intestine and esophagus, much of digestion activity doesn't happen.
Doesn't take place.
Yes. Next, we move on to what are the various secretions. Yes. So salivary gland secretion is
saliva, gastric juice, pancreatic juice, liver, bile, and small intestine.
Yes. And where is the liver stored? See, sorry. Where is the liver located?
Meaning? Oh, here.
In the paper, you will say here.
Oh,
it's on the upper right side.
Abdomen. Oh, okay.
Abdomen. Okay,
Yeah.
it's in the abdominal cavity. Yes.
Yeah.
What is the lining of the abdominal cavity called?
Lining of abdominal cavity.
I told you this is last time. Visceral dash.
Oh yeah, visceral.
Marubadi.
Here only. Peritoneum is the lining of the abdominal wall.
Yes, peritoneum is the lining. Very
lining
good.
of the abdominal wall.
And who stores the bile juice?
Gallbladder.
What is the duct from gallbladder called as?
That I don't remember.
That you don't know. Okay. See, just note this ducts alone, okay? Like, in a form of an equation or something. Just a second. So, first
I have it written down, I think, somewhere, but now I can't remember.
Have you written it down?
1 second. Sphincters I've written. No, ducts I haven't written. I've written for all sphincters.
Okay, fine. So, from the liver, you have the duct called as?
Hepatopancreatic duct.
Hey, hepatic duct.
Okay.
Then?
That is liver to gallbladder, right?
That will not go into gallbladder.
Okay.
There are cystic duct is the one which goes to gallbladder. Okay. And from gallbladder, the duct that comes is called as cystic duct. This hepatic duct and cystic duct together,
hepatopancreatic duct,
is going to form the you're stuck there itself, I think. Common bile duct.
Oh, the common bile duct along with the pancreatic duct forms the hepatopancreatic
duct. So from the pancreas, you have the pancreatic duct. That along with this is going to give you hepatopancreatic. Okay, so if you write it in the form of an equation, I think it would be a little easy.
Yeah, like that only I'm writing. Yeah.
Done?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, don't get stuck with that hepato alone, okay?
Yeah.
Now, let's start in the mouth. So already we saw the oral cavity and what are the different, parts of the oral cavity: teeth, tongue, salivary glands, and all. Right? How many pair of salivary glands do we have?
2. 1 pair.
3 pairs altogether: parotid, submaxillary, sublingual.
Oh yeah, parotid.
Each is in pair, no? So 3 pairs.
Yeah.
Okay. Parotid is located near?
I know sublingual is below the mouth.
Sublingual is below tongue.
Below tongue, yeah.
Submandible is?
That is also, I think, below tongue.
Near your jaw.
Near jaw, yeah. And then
parotid what about is, I think, parotid?
Here.
Near your ear.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is, see, you can see how they are opening up into your oral cavity in this diagram.
Yeah, food is entering.
Yeah, see here, this is the
Oh,
opening.
saliva, that is. Oh, yeah.
Yes, this is a saliva. This is a duct. Stenson's duct, Wharton's duct.
Wharton's duct. Oh, all these ducts we learned yesterday.
Yes. Yeah. So all
Stenson's,
these
Wharton's,
ducts.
and one more.
Yeah. So they will open into the oral cavity. Okay. So now what exactly is going to happen is in your mouth, it's like this chapati dough is there, no? How we make this chapati dough, same way our mouth is also going to make a chapati dough in small balls.
Oh, but all these ducts are very small or what? Because I don't see anything like in
You
my
can't
mouth.
see it because they are not boxes or something. They are cells. They are normal cells,
Oh,
but they are
so,
secretory in nature. That's it.
so it's all
And
microscopic level.
yeah, and they are what to say, same color as your
Mouth.
normal this one. In the images, we show it in different color to make you understand.
Same as palate basically, so you can't differentiate.
Yeah, that's also there. Correct. Yeah. So now what happens is that the food will be grinded by your mouth. That type of digestion where only physical breakdown of food is called as what digestion?
Uh,
No enzymes involved.
Yesterday we did this, no? I mean, last class.
Yes.
It is just called
You're doing some physical work. So what should it be?
work.
Mechanical
Mechanical
digestion.
digestion.
Yes. Okay. So after this mechanical digestion, what is going to happen is your tongue is going to act like your hand. How you mix the atta for chapati, no? Same way, your tongue will start moving the food around, and the saliva will start secreting. And also note this: the amount of saliva that is secreted when the food is there, and the amount of saliva that is secreted when the food is not there is completely different. So more saliva is secreted when the food is there.
1 second. Yeah.
Okay. Now, after that, the saliva contains enzymes called as salivary amylase, which is responsible for the 30% digestion of starch in the mouth. Okay. So this salivary amylase is going to break down chemically. The chemical digestion part will happen in the mouth or in the oral cavity, to be precise. Okay. Now it will form a small round, and that round is called as bolus.
Bolus.
Yes, so the round structure where the food is digested, 30% of starch is digested, and it's mixed with saliva, and it is lubricated well, is called as bolus. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what will happen if saliva is not present and the food is just going inside? Only mechanical digestion happens.
It'll be very hard for it to go through the throat, like pharynx,
Why?
because it'll just be like a hard rock. It won't even be lubricated,
Correct.
smooth to flow through.
Yes, that is one thing. Another thing?
Then starch won't be digested.
Correct. Another thing?
Food also won't break down that much, I think.
Will the bolus be formed?
No.
That is why I said chapati mixing.
Yeah.
In that you
It is
add
like
water,
going down.
only then
It
it
is
will
like
all
going
come
down
together.
It is like going down a water slide without water. You won't go.
Yeah, exactly, correct. So what will happen is the food particles will not adhere together. So for that purpose only, we saliva, the water content of saliva helps.
Helps.
Yes, I think last class we saw what are the components of saliva. It has majorly water,
Salivary
electrolytes,
amylase.
lysozyme, and
Salivary amylase.
yes, and sometimes antibodies.
Antibodies.
Also. Yeah. Okay, fine. So this is how it is going to happen. Now, the next question should be, how does the salivary glands know that we have to secrete? Like I told you, when the food is there, more saliva is secreted. How is this possible? So there is a nerve which is called as a vagus nerve. Okay, so if you see in this image, you can see the vagus nerve here. Can you see this blue color one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is the vagus nerve. So what this
So
vagus...
it occurs through sight, smell, or presence of food.
Sorry?
Like it stimulates like
Correct,
secretion
yes.
of saliva.
Yes.
Whenever we
It will
eat
help.
food or smell food, that's why mouth is like drooling when we smell good food.
Exactly. So it's the vagus nerve. And apart from this, vagus nerve does one more function, which is nothing but it is responsible for the swallowing of food also.
Food.
Okay. So anyway, we will be learning about this in neural control and coordination chapter in detail. Okay. But it's better to know that there is a nerve like this. Okay. Fine. Now we will come to the next part. So how the breakdown does. Now the starch is a polysaccharide. Our aim of digestion is to break a polysaccharide to a monosaccharide. Okay, but this will not happen within a single step. It
It
will
takes
happen
multiple steps.
stepwise. Yes. So basically, if you see in the mouth, the starch is broken down into maltose, isomaltose, and alpha
Alpha
dextrose.
dextrose.
And if you see, maltose is actually a disaccharide and not monosaccharide. Okay, so please remember this. The ultimate digestion does not happen. It
In the
happens
mouth, only
stepwise.
30%.
Yes, only 30% of the total starch that we eat is digested.
In the
And
mouth.
it is, what are the products that are formed? It's very important.
Maltose, isomaltose, alpha dextrin.
Alpha dextrins. These three products are formed, and which is the enzyme involved?
Salivary amylase.
That's it. Okay. Now, this is about the complete summary of the digestion in your mouth, basically oral cavity. I have to change the heading. Okay. So no proteins digestion, no
No
lipids
lipids,
digestion,
no
no
nucleic
nucleic
acid.
acid, only 30% of carbohydrates.
Starch.
Okay. So then the next one is the process of deglutition. Okay. So as I said,
Oh, deglutition is, I think I noted. No, that is.
we didn't discuss this.
Oh, yeah, that is regurgitation.
What is it?
That's regurgitation. Food comes back to the.
Yeah, that's opposite of
That is,
deglutition.
yeah, opposite. Yeah. It sounded
Okay.
the same, so I thought we already discussed.
Yeah. So deglutition is a process by which your tongue is going to push the
The
food
food.
into the esophagus through the pharynx. Okay. So here it is pushed in the form of bolus, which we already discussed what is bolus. Okay. So that's it. There's nothing big things. Another scientific term for swallowing is only called as deglutition.
Deglutition.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the movement of your food across the esophagus. That movement is called as peristalsis. Every day morning, you actually perform this peristalsis function in your daily life. Can you tell me where? This is the first thing you generally do in the morning. I mean, if you have the habit
Washroom.
of doing it.
Washroom.
Sorry?
Washroom.
Okay, second thing you do. It's very important.
Excretion.
No.
What is?
It's a physical thing that you do to take care of your mouth.
Brush the teeth.
Yes. So if you want to brush, means how are you going to take the paste?
Press it, it'll come.
Press it. Yes. So now if you have a tube, say this is the tube. Okay. If I press here in the between, what is going to happen? The whatever is in this part is only going to come out.
Come out. Yeah.
If I press it on the top, what will happen?
Same thing.
Whatever is going at below where I am pressing is only going to come out. Yes or no?
Yeah.
This motion is only peristaltic motion. So if your esophagus is like this, what will happen is it will contract on the top. So the bolus will be pushed down.
Push down. So again, it'll keep contracting, so it'll be pushed down.
Exactly. So what will happen is it will contract in the area where the bolus, above the bolus. So the bolus is pushed downwards. This contraction and relaxation is only peristalsis. This one more thing is, remember, this does not only occur in esophagus, it will also occur in your intestine, small intestine. Okay, because in all books they would have mentioned esophagus as a priority, but
small intestine also.
Yes, in small intestine also it moves through peristalsis. Okay, so you understood contraction and relaxation of esophagus?
Yeah.
What helps in the contraction and relaxation of esophagus?
Peristalsis. Oh, you mean what muscle or what, like that?
Exactly. There is a muscle that is present, no, the oblique and the, not oblique, the longitudinal muscle.
Pharynx. No.
The circular muscle we learned right now, serosa, mucosa.
Oh yeah, submucosa.
Exactly. So in that we learned the muscular layer.
Muscularis layer. Muscularis layer.
Yes, exactly. So that muscularis layer is what is helping.
Oblique is present only in stomach, no?
Which one?
Oblique
is present. Yes, very
only
good. Oh, I'm glad you remember it. You
that,
wrote the notes for it?
Yeah, that I have written notes. Like that we did in the first class, I think.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay. So
the 2 hours class we did. Yeah.
Okay. Peristalsis is clear now?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so we'll move to digestion in stomach. The next site is stomach. So we already saw what will get majorly digested in stomach.
Proteins.
Correct. Proteins. Yes. Now we learned something called as rage in stomach.
Oh yeah.
That.
I've written here only rage. Like I only don't understand my handwriting, so
you itself don't understand your handwriting. Very nice.
No, I just scribbled. See, I scribbled on a sheet.
Okay.
Like this, I've scribbled. Later, I will write it neatly. Rage is.
Why do I have this paper?
Rage. Oh yeah, found it. Folds present in the lining of the stomach.
Okay, very good. Folds present in the lining of the stomach. Okay, so it's just like your paper fan fold. You have seen paper fan.
Yeah, you told the same example.
Yes. So paper what happens is when you're see, you eat. Some people eat a lot. Some people eat very less.
Very less.
How is it the stomach is able to expand and contract and relax?
Because of the folds present, they have more surface area, so they can expand.
Actually, what happens is rage is not like the intestinal folds. Okay, it is a little different. So when your food is not present in the stomach surungi poi kadakku. And the time la rage will be there. Okay, but when your food is present, those folds will open up. So what will happen is there will be more space. Yes, it is just like your balloon. When your balloon is shrunk, it is very,
weird shape.
It will have folds. But when it expands, what will happen to its surface?
Clear stomach.
Yes, it will be very plain and surface.
Flat.
Exactly. Same concept only with your stomach. Your stomach is like a balloon when you eat food. That is why it can accommodate food as much as you eat.
But people who have pot belly, generally it's like balloon.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, this pot belly is because of the accumulation of fats in your parietal peritoneum.
Oh, peritoneum.
That is your front abdominal wall.
Yeah, yellow color molecules.
Yellow color. You mean cellulite?
I've seen some video. It was yellow in color in that.
Okay. So technically, the color of the molecules that we show are not the original color, though.
No, like in some surgery video I've seen where they do surgery to remove fat.
Understood.
So they put like a very big needle and then they'll suck yellow color things.
Okay.
From the stomach.
Fine. So how long does the food is stored in the stomach? Around 4 to 5 hours.
4 to 5 hours.
Okay. So I hope you understood the function of the rage in the stomach.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we will move on to the next part. So let's talk about the gastric juices. So what all does your gastric juice contain? Tell me that first.
Secretion, gastric juice, HCl.
Okay, that is one thing. Gastric juice contains HCl. Then one.
Yeah, pepsin. Major one.
I already wrote it.
Pepsinogen. Oh, pepsin. Oh, that's what pepsin.
Yes, you should say pepsinogen because it's not yet pepsin. Okay. Then what is the other thing? What are the other secretions?
Mucus.
Yes, we already learned HCl.
Mucus protects the lining of the stomach from oxalitic cells. Pepsinogen by chief cells. And mucus by mucus cells. Like mucus protects the lining of the stomach from
also known as
goblet cells.
This you're clear with, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the food that comes from the mouth is bolus, and bolus is slightly acidic.
Acidic.
Okay. So what will happen is there will be a sudden drop in the pH. In the stomach will be around 2 to 3.
3.
Okay. That is because of
HCl.
HCl. Okay.
Just 1 second. I'll just come back. 1 second.
Sorry, what happened?
1 second. I'll just come back.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, done?
Yeah, my parents had called me.
Okay. Where's my pen? Okay. So the food, like how it is called bolus in the stomach. Once the protein digestion is over,
Yeah, it's called chyme.
bolus becomes chyme. Yes, and
Chyme.
chyme is acidic in nature. This chyme will enter intestine after the digestion. It's called chyle. Once it mixes with all the alkaline
It's
juices,
called
it
chyme.
becomes chyle. Okay.
CHYLE.
So bolus, chyme, and chyle, which is basic in nature.
Chyle. No, none.
Yes, chyle. Chyle is basic in nature.
Oh, chyle is basic. Okay.
Because it will be in the intestine. No, in intestine, everything is basic
Alkaline.
or alkaline in nature.
Alkaline. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Now, how does this HCl? We have been telling from the beginning that pepsinogen is converted to pepsin by HCl. Yes. But how does it do this work?
Pepsinogen is converted to pepsin by HCl.
Pepsinogen is what? An enzyme, correct?
Yeah.
So
it's
you would have
converted to pepsin.
studied about the active site of the enzyme.
Yeah, where it's being said.
Active site is a place where the substrate will join to form the product. Okay. So what happens to your pepsinogen is something like this. Okay. So your pepsinogen will have around 44 additional amino acids. Basically, it is a proteinaceous enzyme. Okay, enzymes are mostly proteins. Okay, so what happens is that it will have additional how many amino acids?
44.
44 amino acids. Okay, this has to be removed. So how this is going to be done is this HCl is there, no? This HCl will make the protein unfold. Okay, when it unfolds, what will happen is that active site will be visible. Okay, and the additional amino acid chain is removed. So that's what is shown in this picture.
So pepsinogen first is activated. So
yes.
The will unfold.
Once you remove that additional, see here, no, I marked it in a different color. So what will happen is that
pepsin becomes active.
Yes. So the pepsin will become active. Now this pepsin will act on the proteins that we eat. What do you mean by dietary proteins?
Proteins are there in the food.
Yes, exactly. So these dietary proteins will be partially digested in the stomach.
And then remaining will be in the
small intestine. Yes. So everywhere it is partial digestion. Remember that. Okay. So this is how the HCl basically acts. Fine. Now, the next thing is we'll move on to the parietal cells. Okay. So this is what I have been telling. Pepsinogen will convert pepsin, and how many amino acids will be removed from that?
44.
44. Yes. Okay. Now we will move to the next part. So the partially digested protein is there, no? What are those called as? Are they called as amino acids?
No, peptones.
Yes, they are called as proteoses or peptones.
Peptones.
Okay. This term is very important. Like how starch is divided or digested
Maltose, isomaltose, and one more.
Alpha dextrins.
Alpha dextrins, yeah.
Yeah. Same way, proteins in the stomach is broken down in the presence of
proteoses
pepsin into
proteoses and peptones.
And peptones. Okay. Now, when we move on, there is one more protein that is found in the kids called as renin. Please note the spelling.
RNIN.
It's RE.
Which one? Is it NNIN or NIN? Both are written.
No. Actually, there are two proteins, okay? One is called as renin, okay? And another is called as RENIN. Okay, the one which is basically RENIN, no? The spelling here is wrong. In the diagram is wrong.
It's RENNIN, right?
Yes, RENNIN. Okay, so that particular renin is a protein that is found in your stomach, but not in your stomach, in baby's stomach. It's a specialized protein to digest. It's a specialized enzyme which is there to digest a protein in the milk. So basically, if you talk about babies, their major food is what?
Mother's milk.
Yes, mother's milk or any milk for that matter. Milk. Yes. So what happens is that the milk has a protein called as casein.
Yeah.
Okay. So for this digestion, pepsin can't digest casein. So they have casein. They have a specialized protein called as renin.
But even we drink milk, right?
We drink milk. But the difference is that we don't drink only milk. We have so many other things.
Oh.
So the amount of milk you drink and an amount of milk a baby drinks is different. No. Yes or no?
So what if I keep drinking milk the whole day?
You will have digestion issues.
Oh.
Stomach pain will happen. Everything will happen. Okay. Nothing like you can't. So that is why you should not drink a lot of milk. Okay. Because your body does not have the capability to digest it like it can digest in a baby. Okay. Have you seen all these babies puking? The white milk. Okay, so at one point of time, for them itself, it will become too much.
For us, it's too much to watch.
Yes. Okay. So this renin, how does it work? Okay. Renin is also in its inactive form. Okay. It is in the form of prorenin. Okay. This prorenin also is converted by HCl. Now this renin will go and break the casein protein and make it
paracasein. And paracasein will
with
calcium ion. Calcium paracasinate.
Calcium paracaseinate. Clear? So this is the function of renin. Renin helps in the digestion of milk proteins.
Pepsinogen converts proteins into peptones or proteases.
Proteases, yes.
And renin converts casein into calcium procalcinate.
Yes.
That is curd, basically.
Yes. Not procalcin, paracalcin.
Calcium paracalcinate.
Yes. Okay. Now, next we come to, I told you, in the beginning, there's a small amount of fat digestion. Not major, very little. That is because in stomach, you can find traces of lipases.
Yeah,
lipases are enzymes that will digest
fats. Fats.
Yes. But the problem with digesting fat is that fat molecules are very big and they are not water friendly. So you can't easily break them. So that's the reason why stomach is not that capable enough to digest the fats. Clear? Okay. Now I also told you about your parietal cells releasing Cassell's intrinsic factor. Remember? Okay. Which is responsible for the absorption of vitamin B12.
Vitamin B12.
Yes, vitamin B12 is also known as cobalamin.
Vitamin B12 is also known as?
Cobalamin. One second, I'll write the spelling. Cobalamin.
It's vitamin B12 also is called, I think, but I'll write it again. Yeah,
no, last class I didn't tell you cobalamin. Maybe you would have heard it somewhere.
B12 also called cobalamin.
Okay, so indirectly, if you see, this Cassell's intrinsic factor is going to be influencing the production of red blood cell. How it is that This vitamin B12 is very essential for your red blood cell production. Okay,
Production.
so
it leads
if
to-
your Castle intrinsic factor is not working properly, vitamin B12 will not be absorbed. If that is not absorbed,
low blood cell
RBCs will
count
be
called
low.
pernicious anemia.
Yes, it's called as, that condition is called as pernicious anemia.
I
There are
heard
a lot of
sickle
types
cell
of anemia. One anemia
Yeah.
is pernicious anemia.
Yeah, I've heard of sickle cell anemia.
Sickle cell anemia is when the shape of your red blood cell changes because of the replacement
Yeah.
in the amino acid chain. The codon replacement, that is different. That is genetic.
Yeah, valine in the presence of glutamic acid,
Glutamic acid.
beta,
Yes.
beta globin chain.
Yes. Okay. So basically, this is like once a question was given, which of the following are indirectly responsible for anemia?
Or pernicious anemia.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So you should be
Vitamin B12
pernicious. It's called
deficiency of
pernicious.
yeah, vitamin B12 deficiency.
Yes, vitamin B12, which is a factor, Castle's intrinsic factor.
Factor.
Okay, and which is the organ that releases this Castle intrinsic factor?
HCl.
Stomach.
No, sorry, stomach. No,
Stomach is organ. No, this all is
I
happening.
heard factor and then yeah.
So once this once this chyme leaves the this one through the pyloric sphincter, it enters into the intestine.
Small intestine.
Yes, small intestine. The first part is the duodenum. Okay. Now here is the digestion part. So when we talk about digestion, since lipids digestion is very minimal, we consider almost no digestion. So the only thing that is digested in the stomach is what? Proteins. And what is formed?
What is what? What is?
What is formed from the digestion of proteins in stomach?
Proteases and peptones.
Very good. Okay. Now, it's proteases or proteoses? If you say proteases, they are enzymes.
Proteoses.
Proteoses. Okay. Now we come to the different secretions. That is, first we'll start with pancreatic juice. Okay. So as I said in the beginning, intestine is going to receive pancreatic juice, intestinal juice, and
bile juice.
Bile juice, yes. So pancreatic juice consists of all these enzymes
so
in inactive form. Yeah, it looks very difficult, but actually if you look into it carefully, it's easy. I'll tell you how. See, let's start with this. Amylases. Okay, so what is the enzyme that digests carbohydrates in mouth called as?
Salivary amylase.
Salivary amylases. Here it is pancreatic amylases.
Amylases.
Yes.
Nucleases,
See, at the end
nucleic
of the day,
acid, lipases is fats.
Sorry?
Nucleases is digest nucleic acid, lipases digest fats.
Yes.
Trypsinogen.
Trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen, all are for your this
proteins.
one. Proteins, yes. And you
Para
have peptones.
Procarboxypeptidases.
Peptidases. So peptidases should be for peptones.
Peptones.
So how will you remember this is? You just need to remember the same thing. Proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, nucleic acids. So these are the ones which are going to be digested in the small intestine.
Small intestine also.
Okay. When you talk about carbohydrates, it's definitely the amylases. Lipids should be lipases.
Lipases.
Nucleic acid, nucleases. Now what is remaining? Protein. So protein will be what? Trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen, and peptidases.
Peptidases.
That's it. Okay, it looks a lot, but actually they're simple. Is this clear? All the enzymes that are there in pancreatic juice? Cool. So next we will move on. So what happens is, as I said, in pancreatic juice, is all the enzymes are in inactive form. It has to be converted to its active form. Who is going to help it? There's an enzyme called enterokinase. Who is going to secrete enterokinase? Here is where the submucosal gland of your duodenum is going to be helpful.
Oh, so submucosal gland of duodenum secretes enterokinase.
Yes. You remember the name of that gland?
What? Which gland?
Brunner's gland.
Brunner. 3 glands we learned, no?
So basically, your enterokinase is released by your duodenum.
Submucosa of the duodenum
will release enterokinase.
Enterokinase.
And enterokinase will activate trypsinogen to trypsin. And trypsin is the one which is going to activate all the other pancreatic enzymes.
Chymotrypsinogen, procarboxypeptidase, inactive amylases, inactive lipases, inactive nucleases.
Okay, so are the enzymes in the pancreatic juice active or inactive?
Inactive.
Inactive. Who activates them?
Trypsin.
Trypsin. What about trypsinogen?
That gets activated by enterokinase to trypsin. Enterokinase secreted by submucous of duodenum.
Very good. Now, the pH is, as I said, it's little alkaline in nature. It's around 7.8. Okay, and even though it is 7.8 pH, still the food that is coming from the stomach is kind of acidic, right?
Acidic.
So we have to make sure that the walls are not affected by that acid. Therefore, what is going to happen is the mucus, goblet cells, you remember, in the stomach. Same way there are goblet cells.
Goblet cells secrete HCl.
Yes, in the intestine also there is goblet cell which will secrete mucus. Okay,
no,
so universally goblet cell is
mucus,
mucus cells. Sorry?
Goblet cells secrete mucus, right, in stomach?
Yes, in the stomach, same way even in
HCl
your intestine.
I told HCl by mistake.
No, HCl. HCl is parietal cells.
Parietal cell or oxynitic cells.
Yes, okay. Okay, so now we move on to the bile juice constituents. Okay, bile juice consists of bile pigments. So before I go into bile juice, I'll tell you, your urine is yellow in color, your fecal matter is almost brown in color.
All because of urea.
Because of?
Urea.
Not just, urea is not the one that is responsible for the color.
Bile juice.
You can't say exactly bile juice also.
Bile pigments.
Yes, bile pigments. Okay. Yeah. So what happens is that your red blood cell is there, no? It will be broken down further and there will be certain pigments called as bilirubin and biliverdin.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought bilioglobin.
Yes. Bilirubin and biliverdin. I think it is not there in the slide. You can note it down.
Bilirubin and you just write
Bilirubin.
Bilirubin.
Biliverdin.
Biliverdin.
Okay. Yeah. So
or pigments or bile pigments.
These are bile pigments. These are the ones that are responsible for the color of the bile. And this is further broken down into uroglobin. And that is what gives the yellowish color to the urine. 1
second. Bilirubin is broken down into?
For now, just remember this, okay? Bilirubin and biliverdin. Okay, these are the bile pigments. So basically, biliverdin is formed from bilirubin.
Bilirubin is formed from bilirubin.
Yes.
Today is IPL's finals.
Okay, so this is the first constituent of bile juice. The next constituent of bile juice is water. So around 97 to 98% of your bile is water. Okay, then bile salts. You need to remember these names of the salts.
Sodium bicarbonate, sodium taurocolate,
sodium glycocolate, sodium taurocolate. So if you see, almost everything here would be alkaline in nature. Nothing would be acidic in nature. So the entire intestine becomes alkaline because of all these secretions. Okay, so please remember these names. I don't think you can remember it right now. Probably as you read, you will be able to. In the textbook, I'm not sure. I don't think they have given the names.
Sodium glycocolate, sodium taurocolate, sodium bicarbonate.
Bicarbonate.
They are the bile salts.
And your bile juice will contain a very less amount of fats.
5% of fats.
Okay. Actually speaking, if you go Google about bile juice, you will see further more components which are very less in number. But the major components that you need to know are these. So what are the different bile pigments?
Bile pigments are biliverdin and bilirubin.
Bilirubin and biliverdin. Okay.
Bile salts are sodium taurocolate, sodium glycocolate, and sodium bicarbonate.
Excellent. And how much percentage of water is present?
90 something.
90 to 98%.
98, yeah, 98, yeah.
Okay. So what are the constituents of pancreatic juice?
Pancreatic juice consists of inactive lipases, inactive amylases,
Peptidases.
Then amylases, lipases, procarboxypeptidases. Then two more are there.
For
trypsinogen. No,
trypsinogen.
Protrypsinogen or paratrypsinogen is there.
Okay. Who activates trypsin?
Trypsin is activated. Yeah, trypsin only.
Trypsinogen is activated by?
I think it's secreted by mucosal, submucous of the enterokinase.
Enterokinase. Is this clear?
Submucous of duodenum secretes it.
Good. Okay. Now this is the color of your bile. Okay. So bile basically does not contain any enzymes. We already saw that. Yes. It only contains all the salts and all these things. So what is the function of bile? So bile does a function called as emulsification.
Simplification basically.
Okay. So basically fats are, as I said, it's very difficult to digest fats because of their size and because they are hydrophobic in nature. Okay. Therefore, they have to be broken down from large fat molecule to smaller fat.
They simplify the fat particles.
Sorry?
They simplify the fat particles.
Yes, exactly. That process is called as emulsification and it is done by the bile juice. Okay. So that is what is emulsification. That is a function of bile juice. I hope that is clear. Okay. Now we come to intestinal juice. The another term for intestinal juice is succus entericus.
Succus entericus. Yeah, this I remember learning.
Yes. So already in this, we already know what is enterokinase.
Yeah, it is the enzyme responsible for activating trypsinogen to trypsin.
Correct. Yes. Good. Now, already your pancreatic juice has nucleases. That means what? It will break down your nucleic acid to nucleosides and nucleotides. Now, this nucleotides and nucleosides have to be broken. For that, we need enzymes, right? Those enzymes will be there in your intestinal juice. Okay, so if you see here, can you see there is nucleotidases and nucleosidases?
Repeat what you just told. Some intestinal.
Sorry?
Juice. I didn't hear the last part. Like, can you just repeat what you just told? I didn't hear the last part.
I said that see in your nucleases was where? In which juice?
Nucleases was in not in pancreatic juice.
Pancreatic juice. Okay. So what nucleases is going to do is it is going to break nucleic acid to nucleosides and nucleotides. Now this nucleotides and nucleosides have to be further broken down.
So whatever got simplified there are more enzymes to simplify the end products of whatever you get simplified after pancreatic juice.
So your intestinal juice is going to carry enzymes for the end products.
Yeah. So even it's going to simplify it even more.
Yes, but the thing you have to remember is all this is happening inside the intestine only.
Intestine itself.
Understood? Okay, so that is why here if you see you have nucleotidases and nucleosidases. Just add aces at the end. That's it.
Lipases, dipeptidases, disaccharidases.
Yes. And in there we saw maltose was there, right?
Yeah, maltose gets converted. Maltose, isomaltose, and one more.
So that maltose have to be now broken down into glucose and fructose, no?
Yeah.
Who will do that work?
Disaccharidases.
So under this disaccharidases, maltases will come.
Maltases and not fructases, something else.
Galactases.
Galactases.
All the disaccharidases will come under this. Okay. Then dipeptidases. Your peptones will be broken down by dipeptidases.
Peptidases. Lipases is fats again.
Fats again. Yeah. Fats are always just lipases.
Yeah. Enterokinases.
Right. That only we learn. No, it only will help in conversion.
That's all. The same thing. Like it doesn't do anything.
Yes, but who is secreting it is part of your intestinal juice.
Intestinal.
Duodenum is intestine only, no?
Yeah. So intestinal juice secretes enterokinase.
Yeah. That is why I included it in this list. Okay. Is this part clear? All the enzymes? Okay. So last class we had learned enzymes. And I also told you like which enzyme where it is secreted also. So once I send the PPT, you can refer that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now anyway, so you learned what bile juice consists of, what pancreatic juice consists of, and
what intestinal juice consists of.
Now only thing left out is to see the digestion part. Okay. So starting with your intestinal juice. One more thing your Brunner's gland is going to secrete is the mucus. But this is going to be secreted by the submucosal layer. What is the other thing that is secreted by the submucosal layer of your Brunner's gland? We just learnt it.
Oh, enterokinase.
So apart from enterokinase, what else is released? It's mucus. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, yes. So let's see first pancreatic juice. How does it act on in your intestine?
Starch, maltose, isomaltose, and alpha dextrose.
Yes. So basically, out of the full food we eat, only 30% is digested in the mouth.
Yeah.
The remaining has to be digested, right?
Yeah.
That is done by your amylase. You remember we saw an amylase in the pancreatic juice.
Yeah.
That amylase is going to help in the digestion of starch in the intestine. That is why if you look at this equation, I have written remaining here. Okay, and this maltose, isomaltose, alpha dextrose will be broken down by the intestinal juice further. Okay, like this. So see here, maltase, lactase,
sucrose. I need to remember all the conversions.
Alpha dextrinase. All these things come under your disaccharidases.
They'll ask this, right? In NEET, they'll be like, what maltase converts what to what?
Yeah, that comes under biomolecules.
Yeah, biomolecules is one chapter. I don't know anything.
Like you don't have biomolecules, huh?
No, it's the one chapter I find very, very, very hard.
It's the one chapter which can actually fetch you marks.
Yeah, I find it very hard. Like even for the
no. It's actually the easiest chapter. This year there were 2 questions. One was in chemistry and another was in bio. Both were the same questions.
Oh.
They asked which is a basic amino acid. So had you known that here, you would have got 8 marks.
Which is the basic amino acid?
Lysine.
Lysine. Oh, yeah. So fair. Yeah, but I find that chapter, like even for my 11th final exams, I just left that chapter. I studied everything except that chapter. I'm like, I don't have patience and time to do that. So I'm like, I studied everything.
Yeah. What you can do is that you can either study that only in your biology or only in your research, either chemistry, either way you will somewhere get marks for it. That's why.
They asked 10 marks from biomolecules, I think. I lost exactly 9 marks out of that.
No, but it's a for sure question chapter. So it's always good to learn that chapter. 4 marks matters a lot, you know. You think it's only 4 marks, but it matters a lot.
First I should try finishing this before 1 hour. Biology alone.
Not an issue. We will be anyway dealing with biomolecules. It'll be easy only, don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. But the main problem is just finishing biology as a whole within an hour.
Within when?
Within an hour.
Within an hour?
Yeah.
For your exams, you mean?
Yeah, the exam.
And that's nice, very nice.
I don't do that, then I'll miss physics and chemistry, which I need like more time for.
Okay, that is why you make a mistake. Like from now on, make it a habit when you're preparing for your theory exam, no? Prepare like how you're preparing for your NEET itself. So you don't need to do 2 times preparation for your 12th.
Yeah, that's how my tutor, like first he finishes the chapter. Like when he's teaching only, he teaches like more information, like whatever you need for NEET also he mentions. And then he gives test on school also, he gives a test. And then after that, in that same question paper, he gives 50 questions from that chapter which have come previously.
That's a good thing then. Yeah, then that means your 12th will be taken care of.
Yeah, and he told like this is the first level, like basic questions. Then once you finish the 12th, you can go into those little bit more complicated questions.
Good. That's good then. Cool. So this is understood?
Yeah.
How the pancreatic juices act upon in the intestine. Okay. Next we move on to the remaining one. That is the chymotrypsin. We saw, right? So what is the difference between trypsin and chymotrypsin? Both are going to digest your proteins.
No, trypsin converts proteins to dipeptides. Chymotrypsin converts proteases and peptones to dipeptides.
Yeah, it's written there. Yeah, that's right. But there's one more difference actually on how it acts. Okay, so like from which angle it acts. So there are 2 terminals for proteins. Okay, it's called N terminal and C terminal. Okay, so the trypsin basically acts from the N terminal. That's the whole idea of it. But it's okay. I'm just giving you, if you read it somewhere, it's not very important. But as you said, the major difference that you need to know is this: protein to dipeptides and proteosis to
certain.
peptides. So there might be some proteins which is not digested in the stomach, which will be digested in the
Intestine.
by the trypsin in the intestine. Is that clear? Cool. Okay. Now this is the fatty acid part. After emulsification,
Triglyceride, diglyceride, monoglyceride.
yes. So basically, the number of fatty acids is going to change.
Yesterday you showed this. Like
Yeah, I
last
told
class.
you day before, but there was one error in that.
Yeah, the C also kept decreasing along with
Sorry?
that. Like in the slide you showed, the C also kept on decreasing. Like the carbon atom also kept on decreasing.
Yeah. Actually, it's not the carbon atoms, only the fatty
acids.
Yeah, because it's a glycerol, one glycerol chain and the 3 fatty acids. No.
Fatty acids.
Yeah. I got a bit confused when I saw that thing reducing. I was like,
even I got confused. Like carbon also is decreasing, fatty acid is also decreasing.
No, carbon can't decrease, and if carbon decreases, it won't be a glycerol.
It won't be a glycerol only. It'll become glycogol or something.
I'm very sorry for that error. That's why I rectified it. Because I got confused with the picture all of a sudden. I was
do
like,
I need to remember
not what I know.
Like, do I need to remember the CFA, like the bonds, or I can just write it? If like when I'm writing notes, I can just write pancreatic lipases converts triglycerides to diglycerides and then diglycerides to monoglycerides.
You can write it in words. This is for your understanding. That's it.
Okay, that's it, right? Yeah.
Yes. Just to know what is triglyceride, diglyceride, how it is breaking down. It's just a visual impact. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is nucleases. Okay. So nucleases, as I said, it will be broken down into nucleotides by whom? Pancreatic juice.
And then by nucleotides will be broken down further by nucleotidases.
By whom?
By intestinal juice. Nucleotide. No.
Yes, nucleotidases.
Yeah.
Tidases is the enzyme. Tides is the molecule.
Is the thing that is going to get this thing simplified with the help of tidases.
Yes. Okay. So now here, if you see the summary chart in the small intestine, because of pancreatic juice, only lipids.
Carbohydrates is completely completely done.
Yes. Whatever is remaining is digested.
Lipids, nucleic acids, and proteins.
Yes. Proteins also completely digested. Lipids and nucleic acid only partially digested.
Again in large intestine.
Correct. Again your dipeptidases, which is there in the intestinal juice, and the nucleotidases and nucleosidases will get acted upon. Okay. This should be nucleosidases, not nucleotidases. There's an error here. I'll change that. Okay. So with that, the entire digestion process is done.
Now, large intestine excretion process.
Yes, large intestine, there is no digestion. And as I told you, the tinea colia, you remember the longitudinal bands?
Bands in the
yes, they are just going to pull and help in the movement of your colon.
And then anal canal and all that. Yeah.
Sorry?
And then we discussed about the anal canal and then the anus and then all that.
I can't get you. I can't hear you.
No, and then in the last class we discussed about the anal canal and the anus and all that.
Correct. Yes, correct. Okay. So this is all about the digestion part. Yes. So as I said, we have completed the digestion. Now the only part that is remaining is hormones involved and the vitamins. Okay. See, when you see previous year's papers, there are only few vitamin questions that have been asked repeatedly. Okay. But the problem is that if you know only those vitamins, what if they are some other new vitamins? Then be a problem. So what I will do is I'll tell all the vitamins, but I'll also tell you which are the most important and the repeated ones. Okay, I'll try getting because you need to know what are the vitamins and their other alternative name.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then you need to know the hormones, but these are not there in your textbook.
Okay, but didn't they say NEET should only be asked from NCERT? Didn't the Tamil Nadu court or something?
Yeah, I'll tell you why this is happening because AIIMS and JIPMER is there. No, when it was there, AFMC and all, that time they used to ask all these questions. So people
but
are
now
just
after Tamil Nadu High Court passed that thing where you should only ask only from NCERT and strictly not outside.
Yes. So we can't predict. What if one question comes from outside? What will you do? So whenever we we teach based on what has been asked in the previous years.
Yeah, this is the second year without any
Yes.
Ames and Jipmer.
Correct. So we can't take a risk, no.
Yeah.
Say like, for example, there was an app called by the NTA, and that particular app, they asked questions. They had mock tests. They had around 120 mock tests, okay? And all the questions, trust me, all the students I taught were demoralized because they were all from outside portion. Okay, so the difficulty level was very high. Even for bio, it was very high. And other subjects don't ask. Physics and all, people gave up. Okay, so basically, you know, when you are practicing mock test, you will come across these questions, and that time you will worry that, oh shit, I don't know this, and you will get demoralized. Definitely, you'll get demoralized. So
when the biology teacher gave like a test, like I knew like everything, but then they started asking question like a farmer grew 200 tobacco plants and then something, and then I didn't even know how to even proceed in that question. I just gave up after that.
Yeah, so that is what.
Like
and moreover, unlike your theory one, okay, here you're choosing the answers and you can choose only one answer. Sometimes you will feel two answers are right. So if you don't know all the concepts, you can't handle it. That's why. Okay. So
he said a tobacco plant heterozygous for albinism is self-pollinated and 1,200 seeds are subsequently germinated. How many seedlings will have parental genotype? The options are 1,250, 600, 300, and 2,250.
So how did you find the answer?
I didn't know the answer. I just left. I'm like, yeah, he has to teach me all this. He told he'll teach after the chapter, like what he finishes.
Okay.
Like
okay. So basically, you're supposed to draw the Punnett square and use the same logic of your phenotypic ratio, and then they're asking the parental genes.
Yeah, it's like I'll just send you the question. One second. Yeah.
Just sending it to me on WhatsApp.
Yeah. 1 second. Yeah, I sent it. Is it coming clearly? Yeah. Oh, what? Yeah. There's no space, but it is there.
No, not issue. Genotype. No, yes. So you need to do a genotypic ratio, and this will be a how many a tobacco plant heterozygous for albinism. Albinism is self-pollinated, and one of the two seeds are subsequently germinated. How many seedlings would have? Yes. So this is a monohybrid cross. No.
Yeah, but after that, I figured, but after that, I couldn't like find out which
so
the
with the
genotype,
genotypic ratio, you need to calculate the number of. I'll solve this and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, and then what is this thing?
You have the options for this?
Yeah, 1,250.
Okay, can you send me the options also? I'll solve it and send it for you.
I can't copy. 1 second, I'll just try.
Okay, not an issue. I'll tell me that. I'll note it down. 1,000.
Yeah, 1 second. I copy pasted. I think I'll just send it. Yeah, I'll just send you the question paper.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. So I'll.
And then what is the distance between genes is measured by angstrom, map unit, Dobson unit, millimeter.
What is it? What's the question?
Distance between the genes is measured by
Armstrong. Map units.
Right,
sorry, between the two genes, right?
Armstrong. Yeah.
Map units.
Yeah, I knew it was not millimeters. I knew it was not Dobson unit. I didn't know what was map unit, so I chose angstrom.
Map units is to be precisely, consider your map like a graph, okay? So in each graph, you have one box is no. So each box is considered to be like 1 centimeter.
Oh, one cell. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that kind of an this one only is called as map unit. So if you have one, let's say like once again. Basically, the map units will help you find out whether the genes are actually linked or not. So if I have a chromosome here and say like I have a gene here and I have a gene here.
Gene.
The distance between
So,
them,
between the genes
that is measured by map units.
map units. Oh,
There is
and
a
there was
method.
another question.
You need to plot and all those things is there.
Oh, that is all I need to remember.
Sorry?
Like the method. Like I need to know the method.
No.
Oh,
Just
okay.
the unit is enough.
And
So
then
if
there
I
was
say,
another.
10 map units and say 5 map units, which will be having the more possibility of being linked?
5.
That's a logic.
Oh, okay. And there's another one. Kappa particles indicate nuclear inheritance, mutation, cytoplasmic inheritance, nucleocytoplasmic
Can you
inheritance.
send the spelling of what you said? I couldn't hear.
Oh, kappa particles.
You mean kappa particles?
Yeah, kappa particles.
Okay.
Indicate nuclear inheritance, mutation, cytoplasmic inheritance,
Plasmic inheritance?
and
It's called
nucleocytoplasmic.
cytoplasmic inheritance.
Oh, he's
See,
put kappa
kappa
though.
particles are basically substances which are present in the cytoplasm. Okay, so like what to say? Yeah, they are not cell organelles, but to be precise, they are some other organisms within the cytoplasm.
Oh,
They're
so
like symbiotic
the
organisms.
cytoplasm. So since it's in the cytoplasm, it's cytoplasmic inheritance.
Yes, it's a part of cytoplasmic inheritance.
He's put kappa though. He's put KAAPA, so I thought it was kappa.
KPPA, no?
No, he put KAAPA. I think spelling mistake you did.
Yeah, it is KAPPA, kappa.
PPA, yeah. So I read it as kappa.
Seen in paramecium.
Then. Oh yeah, remaining questions were all like normal questions. The alleles are options are there. Then organisms phenotypically similar but genotypically different are. And then what type of gametes will form. Like remaining all was simple. Only these two I could not, like I wasn't even close. And then there was one more, but then he explained that, so I understood it was some cross only.
Which one?
A farmer crossed a walnut combed chicken with a single combed one and obtained all walnut combed chickens in F1. The genotype of the parents were capital R, small r, capital P, small p, cross, like 4 options were there. I got the wrong one, then he explained the correct one. Like he did the cross and then he explained.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually a straightforward question. You just need to identify which is the dominant trait. No.
Yeah, like he told in some questions, like so three you can easily identify the wrong options. So like the remaining option, the correct one, you can just see, like you can just identify all wrong ones, and then you can just tell which one will be correct.
But when it comes to this chapter, no. Generally, questions from the disorders are there, right?
Yeah, the disorders and syndromes.
The Mendelian and the chromosomal disorders.
Chromosomal disorders.
They ask questions from that genre a lot. If you see previous years, from that area, a lot of questions come. Cross-related questions are very rare.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so he was asking questions which indicates trisomy of the 21st pair, Down syndrome.
Down syndrome, yes. So those are the repeated questions every year rather than the cross part.
Yeah, cross he told, they rarely ask, but they just ask definition of crosses and then mostly disorders, syndrome, and which is a qualitative disorder, sickle cell anemia or hemophilia, and then 3 other options.
Okay. And then, one more thing you need to remember is all the scientists' names that are mentioned in these 2 chapters.
Yeah, he gave a scientist thing named on the scientists, like which 3 scientists discovered Mendel's exist.
This year they asked T.H. Morgan's related question.
Oh yeah, T.H. Morgan did experiment, no? On
on linkage of genes.
Linkage of genes, yeah.
So every year, and one more question came from evolution.
But evolution is not there in NC, like for our board exams, but I don't know if it's.
But they didn't announce the
need portions yet, so I haven't. Like for now, I'm just doing all like school related these things, and then in the end, I'll do the remaining 2 chapters.
No, learn everything.
Learn all.
But the scientist names that are given in your textbook, underline them and learn them by heart.
Yeah, I don't use textbook only.
Then sir, forget about getting 345 or so.
No, I use, like, he only made some notes. He told us use this because in textbook, like they'll be like in chapter 11, we learned that all like random stuff will be written. So he just told take this, like just read this. It's the same thing in the textbook, but with more information and all that.
But make sure you're reading the textbook.
Yeah.
You sound like me when I was in 11th and 12th. That's why I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I regretted my decision. Yes. Okay. Anyway, I'll send this PPT to you and I'll solve that question and send the photo to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll see you on, I don't know, next week?
Yeah, next week, Wednesday. Wednesday or
Wednesday or Tuesday?
yeah.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I'll come back on Monday night. So if I sleep the entire Tuesday, then I 100% won't be able to attend. But I'll let you know by this week only.
Yeah. Looks like I am more interested in completing the portion than you. Okay.
No,
Anyway.
I'll if I miss, I'll keep 1.5 hours for the next 3 classes. So it will
Okay,
get.
cool. Not an issue. Today I took an off, so I was able to take at 7. Otherwise, I
Oh,
can't. That's a problem.
okay.
Yeah.
Now I'll go
Okay.
watch the IPL finals.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, have a nice Diwali. Happy
Yeah,
Diwali. Okay.
thank you, ma'am. I'm not
Oh,
celebrating this year though.
you're not celebrating,
No,
huh?
I'm going like out of town, so I won't celebrate.
Okay. Okay. Not an issue. Anyway, happy Diwali.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Same to
Okay.
you.
Bye.
Yeah, bye, ma'am.
Bye.